From pole position, Valtteri Bottas can now make it to the final corner to see the checkered flag, and Bottas crosses the line to win the Turkish Grand Prix.
Yes! 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 Coming at you a little later than normal. Look, crazy stuff happened over the weekend. We'll get into that later. This is in the Paddock F1 Greenie and the Cheese. That was David Croft's call on Sky Sports, courtesy of Formula1.com. We are in Istanbul, Turkey, or outside of it to be totally correct. A city of 15 million people split on the two continents by the Bosphorus, Asia and Europe. The original name of the city was, do you know, Michael?
Of course it's Constantinople.
Yes, you are correct, sir. And the country of Turkey, known for that tea. Turks like that tea and Turkish tea. You know what? I've had it. That's darn good tea, sir. Also, you know what else the Turks like, Michael? That is those sweet treats. What about those Turkish delights, my friend? Or a little baklava. And did you know this, Michael? The story of Santa Claus originated in Turkey. How about that, my man? I didn't know that.
No.
Dang! Santa Claus out of Turkey. Get out of town. But we are 28 miles east of Istanbul at Istanbul Park. And as Michael said Saturday, turn one's a son of a bitch. And you know what? Ended up beating it right off the start. Valtteri got off cleaning away, running away with it. Max comes in second, saying it was a Sunday drive. Had to try and keep himself awake. I don't know how you try and keep yourself awake going 200 miles an hour down that back straight. I'd be freaked out of my mind, to be honest. Michael, good evening, sir.
Wow, quite the introduction for Cheese tonight.
Oh, I thought you liked the Santa Claus bit, sir.
Fired up. Another tidbit around the world, but we're not going around the world to Turkey to talk about tea.
This isn't no travel show.
This ain't no tea show. You always find a way to bring tea into it for some reason. I know you're an avid tea drinker. I know you're an avid tea drinker. Enough about the tea.
You like coffee?
Enough about
coffee.
the tea.
I like tea.
That's honestly... No, I do, but I haven't spoken about coffee on the show.
Turkish tea is good, man. Turkish tea is darn good. Turks like tea. Turks drink a lot of tea.
All right. Turks
man. Like tea.
All right.
It's into the history of Turkey. They like tea. I did a lot of research for every show, as you do know. And a lot of tea kept coming up. So Turkey's known for.
All right. Turkey
like number 2. It was like number 2 on the list.
All right.
It was tea.
Turkey around here is known for...
But this isn't a tea show, a travel show, or whatever kind of show. This is a Formula 1 show. Let's kick it off, son.
I was going to say Turkey.
What's your thoughts?
I was going to say, what's your thoughts on cutting me off 3 times? Appreciate it, though. I was going to say Turkey. I just blew it. But anyway. Don't be cutting me off. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Lost your train of thought that quick, huh?
No, you cut me off 3 times.
Apologies, sir.
You're a little out of control here. On a Wednesday night.
Caffeinated and medicated.
Yeah, we know this.
Caffeinated and medicated.
Yeah, we know this. All right. As you said, Valtteri Bottas winning number 10 and the first time all year. I love how everyone's been focusing on number 10 for Valtteri Bottas, like he hasn't been driving in this car all year and should have at least won a few more. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts so far, Cheese, on the season? Besides this, do you think Valtteri Bottas' win today or on Sunday should have come a little bit earlier for his first win of 2021?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's in one of the best cars. He did have some pit errors, or he gets more of the majority of the pit errors than Lewis does from Mercedes, so that cost him a couple times. He also screwed up a bunch. That's why he ain't going to be the Merc next year. But yeah, he should totally have won more. It should have been a lot earlier to get his W than it all the way now in Turkey. It should have happened. That's why he's out. That's why he's out. He ain't bringing home the bacon. If you
Yeah,
ain't bringing home the bacon in Formula One, especially when you're a top team, you're out the door.
yeah, and he's moving to Alfa Romeo next year, and definitely not the direction he thought he'd be going at the start of 2021. But as we talked about earlier in the season, if you're in a Mercedes, you better win. You better win races, and you better win them. You better win them quick, or at least be competitive for the season. You really, as a Mercedes, you should be thinking 1-2 as you have been for the last like 6 seasons. And he couldn't do it. And we saw some mistakes being made. We saw some mistakes being made this season by Mercedes Garage as well, but as well as Valtteri Bottas, just not living up to the hype, coming from Williams, driving well, definitely well enough to move into the Mercedes, but his time there is done, and he's gonna be on the shelf for a couple seasons to see if he can survive a couple seasons and a lesser car and maybe come back in a few years to a dominant car. But that's my thoughts on Valtteri Bottas. I don't want to sour this Wednesday for a Sunday victory. You think he'll get another one this season, or you think that's the end of Valtteri Bottas? I think that's all he had in Turkey this season.
Do I think so? No. Is it possible? Yes.
Well, obviously it's possible,
but no. My answer would be no.
He's in the best car, or at least close to the best car. Red Bull, my friend. Max Verstappen coming in second, but Red Bull 2 on the podium, but no one in the winner's circle. We got a race coming down the stretch here. How do we feel about Red Bull? How do we feel about Red Bull? What went on this weekend outside of Lewis Hamilton and his, starting at 11th? But Red Bull, 2 on the podium.
That was big for Red Bull. It closes the gap a little bit to Mercedes and the constructors. I think Mercedes still has something like a 30 or 40 point gap still.
Yeah.
Over Red Bull. But it does help close the gap to Mercedes. It gives, Max, they think Max is a 6-point lead now in the championship. So Max increases lead. So, Red Bull, for one thing, if anything, they want to win the world title with Max. They definitely want to win the constructors. So it closed the gap there. Red Bull looked good. I mean, Sergio Perez put in a really good performance. You would expect, a lot better more of these performances from Perez. A little bit of struggle this year, but then again, he is in the cursed second seat of Red Bull. First year, so maybe he's just adjusting. But I mean, it was a good race for Red Bull. I'm sure they would have wanted to get Max, the win, of course. Track was slick, and the first 2 kind of just settled, and behind that was where all the fun was. But it was a good race for the Bulls this week.
Yeah, I mean, current standings right now.
I'm sorry, and that white car, that right Red Bull is hot. That car's hot. They need to use that livery a couple more times for the season's over. That's hot.
I don't know. You do these like Stephen A. Smith pauses here, and then you come back in, and I'm trying to drop something on you.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. All right, Max Verstappen in first right now, 262, and Lewis Hamilton, or and a half. I mean, I'm not even going to recognize the half. Unless it matters at the end of the season. So 262 versus Hamilton's 256. So it's a 6-point game here coming down the stretch. We were promised a season. We got a season, 6 races to go. How you feeling about Max holding that lead?
I can see it happening. Max is taking it to a different level this year. He's at this, amazing form right now. So I can see it happen. The Red Bull's absolutely massively competitive, if not maybe have taken a little bit of a slight edge in car performance. Wise outside of maybe engine power, Merc had a little upgrade here that seems to give them a little bit more boost on the straights, but the Red Bull handles way better in the corners. I could see it happening. Max is really at a sick level right now. Looking at the tracks coming up, I think it's really going to just pretty much come down the wire between the two, to be honest, with the tracks coming up. And I can see Red Bull having an advantage at some, and Mercedes, looking to saying they would have the advantage at others. So, but we'll get into that as the weeks go. But it's going to come down to the wire. And how about this little thing I just thought of? What if the season comes down and that half point actually means something?
We'll see. That's what I said. Like those half points, you can't even talk about them. And
they never had them before.
But it's a half a point. It's like a draw. It's draw versus draw, or however. It's just it doesn't mean anything until it means something. So ignore the half points.
Ignore the hook.
Ignore the hook.
Look, for you there.
And you worry about it at the end of the season, just like you worry about the hook at the end of the game. You don't have to worry about it right now, right? You don't have to worry about the point spread until the game is over or the season's over. So in this case, so that's what we got. That's looking ahead to now. That's looking to now. That's looking ahead to the rest of the season. Exciting stretch down the stretch. I apologize. Ferrari this week. We'll talk about them. We'll talk about McLaren. Ooh. We'll talk about Haas. Got a little Haas note for the week. And of course, we're going to Creedtopia once again. Doesn't look so good coming down the stretch. It's rough. We're going to have to do some real gambling going forward. We'll see if it's complete and utter disaster for Greeny. And Cheese is just laughing because it's over, or do I have a glimmer of hope left? Greeny and the Cheese in the Paddock F1. We're back after this. Yes. We are back, Greedy the Cheese in the Paddock F1. It's a Wednesday night on a Sunday show for a Sunday race. We apologize. Travel and parties and all kinds of mishigas going on here. But we are back. Is this little GNR? Little GNR. I remember the video from this back in the day with like the Terminator.
Stuff was badass, man.
It's like T.
Got Arnold
in the club. The Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah.
Before he was. Before he was. So kicking it back. It is a Wednesday night party here. Turkish Grand Prix. Yeah, man. It's winners and losers time, and it feels like forever since the last time we did winners and losers. And looking at the big board at the end of this, we got a lot to talk about in the middle. I know we talked about the top. We talked a lot about what the future is going to hold with Bottas and Red Bull and Mercedes, which is always the conversation for the season. But interesting. Rest of the pack. Take me through the winners and losers. Let's start this week before you even ask, my friend. I want to hear the win.
Oh!
Before you even ask, unless you had a specific agenda yourself, which,
No, I always ask you every week, so you finally catching on here, sir.
Yeah, I mean,
Only took you weeks to figure it out, but it's all right.
I was hoping you'd make a shtick out of it, but, it didn't really work out. You can work on it.
Sure.
We'll think of something. We'll come up with something.
We'll throw some crap to the wall and see what sticks.
Speaking of sticking.
All right, so you want to go winners this week? We'll start it with the first. We'll go with Pierre getting back there. Throwing a little top six finish for Pierre. Looking good in the AlphaTauri. And then let's talk about the Scuderia. Fourth place for Charles. Great drive. And then Carlos, an even better drive. Come back from 19th to finish 8th.
Plus 12.
Plus 12. Carlos is also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's got the most passes this season. Something like 94.
Yeah, I think so.
94 overtakes.
Sergio's got like 95. Overtakes. I know. He's got like 96.
Vettel's got like 90 or something.
Or 90. Yeah, they're all up there. They all seem to be not busting out in qualifying this year. Starting a little farther back. More than once. A couple of interesting Q1 eliminations this year as well. But yeah, and that's kind of what gave him those gains. You're not going to see Lewis or Max getting those gains because they're starting towards the front of the pack. But
right, but
Carlos has been doing a great job this year. Another great drive. Race day, baby. Race day.
Race day. Bring it on. Bring it. Put up or shut up. He's putting up. Also, big gain for Ferrari on McLaren. Big gain there. With 2 cars in, McLaren only got 1. And they also finished, Norris finished 7th. So, nice big gain for Ferrari in the constructors against McLaren. And I'm still standing by that Ferrari will finish 3rd in the constructors. I'm standing firm on that. Firm, I say. Not giving up my boys in red.
Ferrari 3rd in constructors? Yeah.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you?
Yes. Still trail McLaren. I think it's like
30?
8 or something. I think it's 8
No?
points.
I don't know.
I think it's somewhere around 8 points right now. So definitely can be had. We'll move right into losers then. Unless you have any other winners.
Yeah, dude, I got some winners. I'm actually going to go to the back of the pack this week. You know, we spend so much time talking about the front of the pack, but you know, Antonio Giovinazzi, we keep putting him in the loser pile because he keeps, you know, qualifying top 10 and then finishing at the back of the pack. So this time you got to give it up for him, and he started 17th and finished 11th, so plus 6 for him for the week. So you got to give it up a little bit for him. You know,
okay.
And the ageless, we talk about the ageless Fernando Alonso. We cannot talk about him in this category this week, but we can talk about the ageless Kimi Räikkönen, who comes back after from last race after missing 2 races before that, and comes back and moved up 6 spots over the course of the day, even though they didn't score points. Definitely some quality drives from those 2 guys, and maybe Bottas does have a little hope next year, because he got some winners and one in a potential
next year's
teammate.
in a wild card right now. Till we get to testing, nobody knows anything.
Nobody knows anything. So
with the new car, who I've heard of some drivers hitting the sims with it with next year's car, and they say it is not as friendly to drive as this year's car. So the beginning next year, people are going to be struggling, I think. So it could be wild cards. Could be a lot of wild stuff going on in the beginning of next year with the new car, but we'll see. But it's definitely a good drive definitely 2 good drives from Alpha. Good showing from Alpha this week.
All right, so those are our winners. We all, of course, want to hear your losers, because it looks like there's a lot of losers this week. If I'm looking across the board and looking at places lost and turn one's a sum of a bish, so
some of it. Yeah, I got 2 for you. Danny Ricciardo, 13th. Starting 20th, just not good enough. Not good enough to with the race with Ferrari for McLaren. Definitely need him to start. They need points. They need points from both cars when you're a battle for that 3rd spot. So that's just not good enough. He did gain some spots, but it's just not good enough. Not good enough. Carlos put his car in 8th. Started right next to him. It's not good enough. And we usually throw him in the winners category a lot this week, but this week, Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
Had the best start he's had in quite a many moon, and with 5th. and 16th. I know he did get turned around by Gasly in turn 1 on the first lap, but then he made a dumb move, took out Schumacher, messed his car up, had to come in for the stop, and that just left him at the back of the pack for the rest of the day. So Fernando definitely getting in the losers pile this week. A little too hot and heavy going in there against that Haas. Turns your boy around, Mick. Had his best qualifying showing. Bang! First lap to the back where you belong. Yeah, I said it. Ruined your day. Your day was actually more ruined at that first lap when Fernando got turned around and your trifecta went straight in the trash.
We'll get to that.
Right off the first lap.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that trash. Can't even tease it because everyone knows what happened. Didn't come through. But we'll get to that in the next segment. Yeah. Fernando definitely is usually in the winner's circle and or at least the winner's row, and this week in the loser's row for good reason. Disastrous start for him. I think you stole my thunder a little bit because my losers, which you did not ask me for, but I will give you anyway, is Haas Racing. 2 reasons. Besides the disastrous first lap with aforementioned disastrous Mick Schumacher getting spun around and getting passed by Nikita Mazepin, who has no business being in Formula One. And Mick Schumacher sort of had no business being anywhere outside the bottom 2 rows. So, which was evident of him, row 7. No, 6, 7. That's not a place for him.
Well, I mean, he got spun around in the first lap.
Anyway, the fact that he came back and stormed back and then lapped Nikita Mazepin just shows what a disaster this team has been this year. We long for the days of Romain Grosjean. That's all I got to say about that. Long for the days of Romain.
Should have picked a better team, son. Should have went with your gut.
No. I went with my gut. I'm continuing to go with my gut. Gut is your natural instinct to your surroundings.
I still totally employ. This is just to stick it to me every
No,
week.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm embarrassed for you for not just going with this. Enjoy talking about Haas every show. All right.
All right. You got any other losers, or is that your only loser?
No, that's my only loser. But what I do want to hear is one more thing, which hopefully you brought your baby powder, and hopefully you lined it up because somebody, my friend, is getting slapped in the face.
I need to slap my goddamn self for that.
All right. This one took a minute to think of, to be honest. And we're going to give it to Mercedes for waiting too gosh darn long to bring Lewis in. They had all the information they needed. He wasn't going to make it if he stayed out. Let's be real. The other cars were going, a second a lap faster. And there wasn't that many laps left to cover it. That's one. Mercedes should have known this just by looking at the numbers. They got the supercomputer thing or something like that, computing all this crap. Well, somebody's got to write a new algorithm because your algorithm is trash. You had all the information you needed. You knew the cars were faster, or after they got through the graining period on the inners, that they were quicker. Should have brought them in earlier. Could have got a better finish. Close that points gap a bit closer. A lot more damage control. But no. Flubbed it again. Again, the pit wall. And then you've got Lewis fighting with you. After the race, checking his tires. It was just a mess. Again. Another pit wall disaster. I don't know what the heck happened.
Yeah, they lost points.
Used to be.
They gave up points.
They lost
Mercedes
points.
and Lewis
That was a
gave
lot
up
of
points. He would have finished fourth. He would have
He
definitely
would have finished higher than that.
He wouldn't.
If they pitted him earlier.
It was no gain. It was no even anything to win to make that move to bring him in with 2 laps to go. Just didn't make any sense. And these points are valuable down the stretch. Just 6 races to go. 6 races to go to Abu Dhabi, and we got to race.
Can't drop points now.
Can't drop points. Every point matters. They give 1 point. They give 1 point for a fastest lap, and people every week, every race. I apologize. They fight for it. They fight and they strategize for that 1 point. And then you're going to go ahead and give up points. It doesn't make any sense at all. Maybe it makes sense in some other dimension.
I mean, it was just a bonehead decision.
I don't know.
It was just bonehead. It was just bonehead. You knew the tires were going to grain because they're going to heat up because it was too wet for slicks, and it wasn't dry enough. It was just the tires you knew were going to grain with the inners. All the information was out there from all the other guys that pitted earlier. You knew you were going to get this graining period for a couple laps, and they come back to life, and then you're throwing down super quick laps. So you had to bring him in earlier, because by bringing him in when they did, he got the graining, and then he couldn't. He was done. He was done. It was a stupid decision again. It's awful. Get out the powder. Slap yourselves, Mercedes.
Slap your damn
self.
Drop
points. Drop points.
All right. Well, that is.
All right.
That is the buzzer for the week, but
that's the buzzer. All right. That's you.
You're right.
That's how you're closing. Yeah, I'm fine. That's how you're closing segments now.
No. It's definitely how closing segments. That's definitely how closing segments.
Right.
I was attempting to transition after that because I did have to pick my jaw off the floor for a minute after you mentioned Mercedes, but it does make sense, and absolutely they definitely did drop.
Well,
points.
Who did you think was coming?
I had no idea. I was sitting back and relaxing and waiting for the show, and one which I got.
Your jaw off the floor.
One which I got. Any homework for the week? Because last time you kind of sprung up an assignment on me. So should I be prepared? I figured I'd ask teacher.
No.
Teacher, do any I'll be that kid in the class.
Well, how about this? Since we didn't do mail Saturday night show, we got any mail for this week? Are you ill prepared for that yet again?
We do have mail. Thank you very much. In the Paddock USA at gmail.com. In the Paddock USA at gmail.com. I do. It's not organized. I will get it together for next show, which will be America, my friend.
Coda.
America.
Coda and Texarkana.
Texarkana. We going down to Texas, and it'll be a great weekend. But before that, we have a segment to go. It is called. We haven't called it in a while.
Are we checking in, or are we cashing in or checking out?
Cashing in or checking out. Let's see what's going down. Greenie and the Cheese in the Paddock F1. Back after this. What's up, everyone? Greenie from In the Paddock here. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Please let me explain. It's free. Okay, free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you for free, so it can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many, many more. You can make money as well. Money with your podcast. No minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Oh, yes. Welcome back. Greeny and the Cheese in the paddock F1. We got to set the mood right here. Because it's a little bit of a solemn mood. Because I was watching the race with Greeny on Sunday. Actually together for a change. Because I was out for his daughter's bat mitzvah. And we're watching the race. We're all pumped up. He's super pumped. Just got that wild trifecta. Trying to come back. Make that comeback. First lap. First corner. Perez, Gasly, and Alonso. 3 wide. Fernando gets hit. Spins out. Drops to 15th. Mike was standing up at the beginning of the race. As soon as that happened, he sat right back down. Shoulders shrunk. Total disbelief. Knowing his cash in or checking out, he ain't cashing in jack. He needed the cash in. He's running out of time.
That was some cold October rain, man. Not quite November rain. It was raining as well, and I got soaked outside. I literally took a bath financially, and I took a bath literally outside in my clothes. And I had to change in a bathroom stall to get ready for my daughter's bar mitzvah. But thank you for coming out and traveling and all that good stuff. But yeah,
But of course, sir.
definitely the waiters did not get as good of a tip as I would have liked to give. So I apologize for that. Because, my friend, Valtteri Bottas wins. None of us had that.
Nope.
We both had Max winning. So cross that off.
Yep.
Take that off, and I'll subtract it from you and do a little math here. All right. Trifectas. I had Hamilton, Leclerc, and Alonso, which sounds absolutely insane after the race. That would have paid out pretty decently, but that doesn't matter. It's all a moot point now. And you had Max, Bottas, and Leclerc.
Gosh darn close, man. I was gosh darn close on that.
Yeah, you weren't that close.
Well, Leclerc finished 4th.
Yeah, but Bottas finished in front of Max, so it didn't really matter.
Well, I understand this.
And we both had Carlos Sainz.
Biggest mover.
Biggest mover and shaker. He plus 12 on the day.
Also driver of the day.
And driver of the day as well. As he should have been coming from the back, and it was a pretty impressive coming from the back as well. So,
yes, he was. Great drive. Sending it, son.
So not much movement across the board. 535 is my total, which is getting desperate. Down 50%, just about, of my initial investment. They might come and try to take things back. And 1020. So you're almost back at even again. After a storming start, you're just above water. And I know it's really one-on-one, so it really doesn't matter.
Still in the green, sir.
Still doesn't matter, but you are
Still
in the green. I am solidly in the black. You are desperate for a win as well, my friend.
Well, if I get a win, you're toast.
I am. Yeah, if you get a win. So it'll be interesting going into the rest of the season. Again, the Grand Prix of America, the United States of America, is coming up. As you laugh in the face of Haas Racing, but it is, the best we got.
We'll see.
Anything
big meeting.
Forward to.
Big meeting in a week and a half.
Big meeting. But anything
Ready Racing is trying to buy Alpha.
We'll see what happens. Don't count any chickens before they hatch, because they could be dead.
They could be, but Andretti Racing has wanted to move into F1 for, I'd say, a little over a year now, and they have the funds. And if they come in, they're definitely going to do better than Haas is. That's for darn sure, because they're going to have more money back.
Count anything. I've been told
I see
a lot
it.
of things.
I actually see it. I see it happening.
We'll see what we'll see. That's it. I mean, it'll happen when it happens, and it may not happen. We'll see what happens.
What's
We'll see
news?
if the money's right.
It's big news.
It'll be news when it's news. It's rumors right now. See what they do. See if they pound out the right numbers. Numbers got to work, and the numbers have to be big. And the investment's massive. Investment is massive. Yeah. I mean, it's a massive investment. So, and it's embarrassing when you don't have that investment. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Look at my Haas team every week or every race going out there and just getting laughed over and over again, just being on the track because they can't spend the $500 million that Mercedes spent, almost $600 million that these teams, Mercedes
I think
Red
last
Bull
year Mercedes almost spent. I think Mercedes almost spent $1 billion last year. I think it was 900 and something million.
These are staggering numbers, and these are salivating numbers if you can do it right. But you have to spend massive amounts of money, and things have to break right with you, and it's a risk. You know, the difference in timing of 1/10 of a second, 0.2 of a second is massive, and when you think you have it, you don't. And look at Mercedes and look at Ferrari. You think if it was that easy, Ferrari wouldn't be winning races every other race?
Darn right.
If it was that easy?
Darn right.
Massively difficult.
There'd be a lot more teams winning.
You know,
there'd be a lot more teams in it.
Yeah, and you're not there when you're talking about competitive. I understand that, but competitive is what are you going to finish 5th in the constructors, 4th in the constructors? Is that competitive? Look how hard Ferrari and McLaren have had to work for decades to maintain 3-4.
Yeah,
decades to maintain 3-4, and you're just going to waltz right in and take that from them. So the numbers really have to work. So I'll believe it when I see it. There's a lot to contemplate. Can they get in front of McLaren and Ferrari in 5 years and compete with Mercedes and Red Bull?
It's a lot easier. It's a lot more doable now with the new rules and the amount of money they're trying to limit the teams to spend and things to make things more even, to get a lot more teams up on podiums and a lot more excitement going on, is the way Liberty Media wants things to go. So,
and as it's been more exciting this year, I think 2021 has been one of the most exciting seasons in a decade.
Yeah, it's not there yet for what they want, to have a lot more competitiveness, a lot more teams instead of just knowing going in that it's Red Bull or Mercedes and everybody else. The last couple of years before this,
it was just
Merck.
It
was pretty much Mercedes. It was just Merck and
Merck 1-2, Merck 1-2.
Who's fighting for who's fighting for second in the constructors?
Before that it was Vettel and Red Bull. So I mean,
that Red Bull, yep.
So it really is, and before that it was Schumacher. Yep. So it's and again, these are legends of the sport. But it was there's always been dominance, and it's usually the best car and the best driver.
There's always been like a couple teams that are, or one team that just goes for a little bit of a couple year stretch or something. I mean, Renault did it for a couple years with Fernando winning back-to-back titles. I could go back to, Schumacher's first title with Benetton, which kind of boosted up after a couple years. You had Senna, Prost with McLaren there for a number of years. Go back to the years with Williams. So there's always been a team or two that are usually sort of ahead of the pack, but the money changes and the amount of times you can, run practice or research sessions and things like that are cut down because they want to cut the cost down so more teams for things to be more even. So, we'll see. A lot of teams, didn't spend that much money this year because they're putting all their investment to next year's car. So it's a different animal right now than it has been. I think it's for the better. to have more teams involved, more action on the podium. More of a driver, more of like a, I guess in a way, more of like an IndyCar-ish kind of challenge when you have 5-6 drivers going for the title at the last number of races. So we'll see, but I think that's the direction they're trying to go.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, I think that's where we're going to close it right there. 2 weeks away in a fortnight, my friend. We're going to be
week and a half because we're Wednesday.
Week and a half. Oh my gosh, it is a week and a half. Week and a half away. 10 days away to one of the greatest spectacles in the United States. You
Apparently,
ready?
350,000 people are going.
Wow! Get the hell out of here! Wow, 350,000.
Hacking them in.
It's crazy. Anyway, dude, say what you got to say, man.
We'll catch you in a week and a half. And as always, stay medicated, my friends.
All right, peace.